Good morning, everyone. Good morning. My name is Tim Westmiller, and I'm the director here at for campus ministry. I want to introduce to you our new liturgical theme and our new liturgical theme song for the year. Yeah. Change the world. And before we sing the song together for the first time with Exodus, I want to take a few moments to break open this theme with you. Change the world. That phrase, change the world, gets used so often, it's become almost cliche. But we're going to reclaim that phrase here this year. In our songs, and our speeches, and our liturgies, and our planned activities, we will challenge all of us to dive into what it means for Archbishop Mitty and each of you to change the world. In the gospel passage we just heard, Jesus says that you are the light of the world. You extinguish the darkness through your God-given light. He then says you should never hide your light under a bushel basket. And I've always laughed when I heard that line because I don't know about you, but I don't know when the last time I've ever seen a bushel basket. But I've thought about how Jesus might actually use that line if he were here with us today. And I tried to come up with a good metaphor of myself, but I couldn't. But I loved what Pope Francis used during his homily at World Youth Day in Poland in 2016. A couch. That's right, a couch. Pope Francis asks young people not to hide your gifts by spending your lives on couches, or what he calls couch paralysis. The paralysis that comes from confusing happiness with a couch that makes us feel comfortable, calm, safe, free of pain and fear. A couch that promises us hours of comfort so that we can escape to the world of video games and spend all of our time in front of computer screens. A couch that allows us to stay at home without the need to work or to worry about anything. Because little by little, without even realizing it, we start to nod off, to grow drowsy and dull to the world that grows dark in the absence of your light. Although part of you wishes you were probably on this couch right now because it's the first time in months you've been awake this early, I know you didn't come to Mitty to vegetate, to take it easy, to make our lives comfortable couches to sleep on. No, you came here for a different reason, to leave your mark and to change the world. Our lyrics to our liturgical theme song this year by Derek Minor echo Pope Francis's plea to get off our couches and to be light to the world. The song says, I bet you just want to make your light shine. It feels like you've been waiting for the right time. This is your moment. It's time to change the world. We are the brightest. We won't succumb to the darkness. Lord knows we need light now. He knows he's calling. You know he's calling, crying out from the mountain, telling us to come home right now. You're my brother. You don't have to fight anymore. Oh, sister, none of us win in this war. Beautiful people, don't you know you're made in God's image, the image of greatness? Why don't we see God's reflection inside one another and all of our faces? This is your moment. It's time to change the world. Those are some pretty powerful lyrics that can serve as a mission statement for how we live our lives this year and be community for one another. We don't want to sit on our couches because we are made in the image and likeness of God. Now, it's pretty easy to say that phrase, made in the image and likeness, here at Mitty. We like to say it a lot if you haven't picked that up yet. It's incredibly important not just to say this truth, but to understand this truth, believe this truth, and to live this truth. What this phrase means is that God does not make junk. We are made perfectly, and we are built with the capacity to love perfectly. If we understand that, we learn healthy ways to deal with our imperfections and embrace them. When we learn to love ourselves as God loves us, we come to realize that all of our gifts and talents come from God. They are what makes us great, and they become light for a broken world. And so it begs the question, why then do we live in a broken world? We live in a broken world because we don't see and treat each other as if we're made in the image and likeness of God. Our world too often sees people as the other. Our world too often sees people as not living in God's love. And so we are so conditioned to see the world in a zero-sum game. In order for me to win, I often think that she must be the loser. So we create warring tribes of us versus them. We don't fully believe that we live in God's ubiquitous love, instead fearing that there's a scarcity of love, and we therefore must protect our resources, wall ourselves off from others, create our own identities by berating others' beliefs. So while it's easy to say that we're made in the image and likeness of God here, it's extremely difficult to believe it and to live out. But imagine for just one moment if we lived by what we say we believe. Imagine if we actually believe that every person we encounter, regardless of their religion, ethnicity, sexuality, finances, education, physical disabilities, or mental health, were made exactly as our Creator desired. It starts with you. Not just asking it from our governments and institutions, but also from you and me. If you want others in our world to be loving and giving, you must be loving and giving. If you want a healthy world, you must live a healthy lifestyle. If you want justice, you must also be just to those in your life. Our belief here at Mitty is that the love of learning is the desire for God. When we seek out truth, love, and justice, we are finding God. We are not asking you to take math, science, and English for the sole purpose of personal gain here, but to get off the proverbial couch and to be God's hands and feet. So, what needs to be done, and why am I challenging you here on the first day of school? Let's pick a rounded off number in the future to give you some facts about some of the issues your generation will face when you have to get off this couch. The BBC recently did a special called the Grand Challenges series, in which they looked at issues we will face by the year 2050. That's just 30 years away. And while some of you might think that's a distant dream, believe me, that happens a lot faster than you might think. The following are some of the prognostications for the year 2050. The world's population will go from 7.2 billion to 9.6 billion. The challenge of that type of increase goes well beyond longer commute times to Mitty. It also means a 70% increase in food demand. Our global food systems and diets will need to change in order for the world to be fed. We are currently losing 1,000 to 10,000 times the natural extinction rate for species, and over 50% of the animals that were around in 1900 will be gone by 2050. It is predicted that the rare earth materials that make our devices like our smartphones will be gone, and that's one way to deal with cell phone addiction. Because our global climate change, sea levels are predicted to rise about a foot, and the economic impact to regions will be profound, and climate refugees will become the norm. If climate change forces migration, then existing infrastructures, services, and economies may be stretched to the breaking point. 1 in 5 countries will have severe water shortages, and many experts predict water will be the major source of war in the future. At least 50% of the jobs that now exist will be replaced by robots. And some futurists predict that by 2050, artificial intelligence could surpass human intelligence, raising a lot of ethical questions about what it means to have consciousness and what it means to control machines with consciousness. And lastly, in bioengineering, parents with wealth will be able to make decisions about future child's intelligence, personality traits, athletic ability, and appearance through genetic editing. A whole new class of designer babies will be created for those who have resources. Those who don't have wealth and resources will fall further and further behind. Now, before everybody starts panicking at this brave new world, I am so hopeful for our future because of you here in this room. You, as the future politicians, thinkers, scientists, entrepreneurs, engineers, bankers, teachers, ministers, and social activists, will make this world a better place to live in, even despite these challenges. The most radical and rebellious choice you can make is to be optimistic. We are called to be people of change and hope. Your energy is limitless, and your potential is limitless. And when we reach beyond the narrow confines of self-interest, our hearts become filled with strength. So please don't sit on your couch trolling others for doing what is right. Get in there with them and help make a change. Trade in your couch for a pair of walking shoes and to set out on new and uncharted paths. Walk into every classroom here you take with a mindset that what you're learning is preparing you for this journey to 2050. Walk into every sports field and every stage as a preparation for a bigger field and a bigger stage to use your gifts and talents to change the world. Get off the couch and take the path of our God, who teaches us to encounter her in the hungry, the thirsty, the naked, the sick, the friend in trouble, the prisoner, the refugee and the migrant, and our neighbor who feels abandoned. Each month, campus ministry will offer suggestions through announcements on ways our community can help change the world. Let us know what successes you and your classmates have had. So, now we will hear our new liturgical theme song. We will listen to it once with the help of a few members from our Life Corps who will come down and teach us the hand gestures, and then we'll all stand and Exodus will sing it together with us. Thank you.
I bet you just wanna let your light shine. You feel like you've been waiting for the right time. This is your moment, moment, moment. It's time to change the world.
We are the brightest, we want to come to the darkness. Lord knows we need light right now. You know he's calling, crying out from the mountain, telling us to come home right now. You're my brother.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
We don't have to fight anymore. Oh, sister.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
None of us win in this war. Beautiful people, don't you know you're made in God's image, the image of greatness? Why don't we see God's reflection inside one another and all of our faces?
I bet you just wanna let your light shine. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I feel like you've been waiting for the right time. Feel like you've been waiting. Feel like you've been waiting. This is your moment, 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 moment. This is your moment. This is your moment. This is your moment. It's time to change the world, yeah.
What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? But you know it's no time to waste, better get up. I know you're made for more. Oh yeah, you're made for more. Even when our hope is lost, never let up. You're my brother.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
What are we fighting for? I need to know, sister.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
None of us win in this war. Beautiful people, don't you know you're made in God's image, the image of greatness? Why don't we see God's reflection inside one another and all of our faces?
I bet you just wanna let your light shine. You feel like you've been waiting for the right time. Feel like you've been waiting. This is your moment, 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 moment. This is your moment, moment, moment. It's time to change the world, 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 world. It's time to change the world.